Have you ever had that feeling where it's like your own mind has been hijacked? Just totally overwhelmed by anxiety or guilt or worry? Well, today we're going to dive into a really powerful way to think about this. We're going to frame those thoughts not as a part of you, but as, well, as unwelcome guests, unauthorized occupants that you actually have the power to evict. So let's talk about how to serve those eviction notices. Everything we're going to talk about today really comes down to this one single question. It's huge. See, we often feel like our anxieties are us. We say things like, I am anxious. But what if that's just a fundamental mistake? What if the storm you feel inside isn't the sky itself, but just the passing cloud?
All right, so let's start with the problem, because it's something so many of us deal with. It's that feeling of being controlled, right? Like you're just a passenger in your own mind, being taken for a ride by all these negative thoughts and emotions that you never even invited in the first place.
Now this term, unauthorized mental occupants, it's more than just a clever phrase. It's a total reframing of the whole issue. It defines feelings like anxiety and guilt as what they are, temporary intruders. They're situational, they come and go. They are not some permanent, chronic part of who you are. The key word here is unauthorized. They don't belong, and that means they can be asked to leave.
Okay, so this brings us to a core paradigm shift. It's a real game changer. If those negative thoughts aren't you, then who are you? Well, the answer lies in learning how to separate yourself from all that chatter in your mind.
And this slide just shows that shift so perfectly. On the left, you've got the default mode for most of us. I am anxious. You see? You've completely fused your identity with the feeling. But then, look over at the right. I notice a thought of anxiety. That tiny change in language creates this incredible space. You're no longer the thought. You are the one observing the thought. You become the witness.
And the power in that separation is immediate. It's not something you have to work at for years. As Girish Jha puts it, the very moment you recognize that you are the observer and not the thing being observed, you're already free. Freedom isn't something you have to go out and build. It's just something you have to recognize is already there.
This right here is probably the most powerful metaphor for this whole idea. Your true self, that observer, is like the vast, endless, unchanging sky. And all those thoughts, feelings, anxieties, they're just clouds passing through. Yeah, they might block the sun for a little while, they might make things seem dark, but they can never, ever change the nature of the sky itself.
So if these thoughts aren't really us, where in the world do they come from? Why does our mind seem to create its own suffering? Well, the answer starts when we understand the huge difference between an event and an incident.
So an event is just a thing that happens. That's it. It's completely neutral. It's cold outside. Someone knocked on the door. A car cut you off in traffic. These are just objective facts. They're data points in reality, with absolutely no built-in meaning. An incident, on the other hand, well, an incident is what happens when our mind gets involved. We take that totally neutral event, the cold weather, and we slap a story on top of it. Ugh, this is such a miserable, depressing day. The event itself didn't cause the suffering. Our interpretation of it, our transformation of that event into a personal incident, that's what triggers the emotional reaction.
So what causes our minds to do this? According to the source material, it really boils down to these three pillars. There's ignorance, which is just forgetting that our thoughts are just thoughts, not reality. Then there's attachment, that constant push and pull of clinging to what we want and resisting what we don't. And finally, delusion. That's the core mistake of believing that the passing clouds are actually the sky. These are the filters that smudge up the mirror of our mind.
You see, anxiety is temporary, but peace is fundamental. And this hot tea metaphor explains it perfectly. Think about it. If you leave a cup of hot tea on a table, what happens? It naturally becomes cool. Why? Because the heat is an incidental quality. The cool state is its natural, essential nature. Well, your mind is just like that tea. Peace is its essential nature, its true north. Anxiety is just temporary heat that's been added. It can and will dissipate if you let it. Your mind isn't like fire, whose essential nature is heat. Your essential nature is calm.
Okay, so we get the problem, we get the philosophy, but how do we actually do this? How do we put it into practice? Let's get practical and look at the actual tools you can use to start evicting those unauthorized occupants from your mind.
So here we have the silent method, and it's a great step-by-step framework. You start by stilling the restless mind, simply by becoming aware of your body, your breath. Then you invoke that observer self we talked about. You step back and just watch. You let go of that attachment to thoughts and outcomes. You embrace the present moment exactly as it is without trying to judge it or change it. You nurture that quiet space of peace you find inside. And finally, you teach others, not with words, but just through your own calm presence. And we'll get to that in just a second.
Now here's a really specific tool. It's called Mangalasharan, which means auspicious conduct. And it is such a powerful practice. The idea is, when you notice an anxious thought, an unauthorized occupant, you don't fight it, you don't wrestle with it. You simply and intentionally replace it with an authorized one. A positive mantra, like, "May there be happiness for all." This is like a pattern interrupt for your brain. It actively breaks the chain of negative thinking and realigns your mind with its peaceful, true north.
And as you start to practice this, something really remarkable begins to happen. Reclaiming your own inner peace isn't just a personal victory, you know? It actually starts to have this positive ripple effect on the world and the people around you.
This is that final step of the SILENT method. Teach. But it doesn't mean you have to go out and preach to people. It just means becoming like a lighthouse. Think about it. A lighthouse doesn't make a bunch of noise or chase after ships. It just stands there, solid, shining its light. And by its very presence, it silently guides others to safety. Your own inner calm can have that exact same effect on the people in your life.
And this really brings us to the ultimate takeaway here. Peace isn't some destination you have to struggle to reach or some temporary state you get to visit on vacation. It's not an event that has a beginning and an end. As this says, it's your home. It's your mind's natural default state that is always there, just waiting for you, right underneath the clouds.
And so, I'll leave you with a final question to reflect on. Remember, you are the sky. You have the power to just observe the clouds without getting swept away by them. So as you go about the rest of your day, just ask yourself, what temporary thought, what feeling, what little cloud will you choose to simply notice and just let it pass?